To me, one of the funnest things about abstract painting is getting to experiment and try new products. In this video, we're going to try abstract acrylic painting with modeling paste. Let's jump right into it. Modeling paste is one of many different texture pastes you can use in your abstract painting. In a previous video, I did cover 4 other texture pastes, so if you're interested in checking that out, I'll put a link in the description below. Hey, real quick, just in case it's your first time here, I'm Mark, this is the Art with Mark YouTube channel, and I'm learning to create, market, and sell art. I want to share everything that I learned with you. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. Diving right into our painting paste pool of possibilities, we have our Liquitex modeling paste. As you can see, it's pretty thick and pretty pasty. And yeah, you just start slapping it on there and trying to figure out what kind of texture you want to get. At this point, I really had no idea what I was doing. It's how a lot of stuff goes, really, though, when you think about it. To be honest with you, I don't really know what I'm doing most of the time. It might look like I do, but I'm just winging it. And you know, I get the feeling that most people are just winging it. I think everyone's just winging it. You gotta survive and take it just one step at a time. That's how it goes with painting. I did do a previous video on 4 texture pastes you might be interested in trying. So if you want to check that out, I'll put that in the links down below. In fact, I did keep the paintings or the texture examples that I made in that video, and I'm gonna show them here in a little bit. Once I finish up here and let this dry, we'll do a little short reel of a comparison between what this looks like compared to what those other 4 texture pastes look like, so you can get a better idea of, you know, what kind of results you're gonna get with it. Personally, I actually think it's better to mix the paint in with the texture paste that you're using, but for the sake of demonstration in this video and the previous video, I didn't want to do that just yet. There definitely will be future videos where we try that and see what sort of experiment, we see what sort of results we get. That would be the experiment, the results would be the results. You know what I'm saying. You know what I'm talking about. Okay, so I mean, at this point, you can kind of start to see a pattern forming here. In fact, I should zoom in on this. So I start to work in that pattern and I try to create these like swooping effects, sort of, I guess. And it's at this point I start to envision sort of this diagonal divide from the bottom left corner up to the top right corner. Sort of like a wave. So I guess that's one thing to consider when working with texture paste such as modeling paste, is to kind of see what emerges in the pattern that you put on the canvas and see what direction it takes you from there. Just in case someone's wondering what that tool is towards the top right corner of the screen, that's what's called a catalyst knife, or a Princeton catalyst knife. There's catalyst wedges and catalyst knives, so there's a bunch of different types of versions of what you see there. That's on kind of like a paintbrush stick, and it's flexible, sort of like a cake spatula. So I mean, it reminds me of like a cake spatula, basically, and then it's got shapes cut into it. All right, here we go. So this is how it looks dry. And then this was the other 4 texture pastes we used. This was crackle paste, I want to say blended fiber, natural sand, no, the other way around, and then ceramic stucco. Moving on to the painting portion here, we have turquoise blue, unbleached white, and primary red. These are the colors that I initially intended to use. Oftentimes when you start a painting, especially when you're working abstract and you don't have any clear direction that you're intending to go at first, sometimes your color choices might be a little bit off. Yeah, so the unbleached titanium turned out to be a not so great choice. There's a part where I apply it like to the whole painting, and it just, yeah, it does not come out. I end up cutting that part out, but see right there, boom. So I was like, no, let me bring it back. But on the other hand, you can see later on how it did have this subtle under effect, I guess. That's the thing with working with textures like this, is you never know which nook or cranny the paint's gonna work itself into, and it helps to switch it up. So that's why you see me, starting with the brush and moving over to the sponge, and then soon I'm gonna use the roller, and then later I'll use a palette knife. And the one thing I didn't actually try that I'm kind of regretting at this point is maybe trying a wash, because sometimes, and if you're not sure what that is, that's basically where you water the paint down. You mix the paint down with a bunch of water. And in the case of something as textured as this, the water works its way down into the crevices, leaving little pigments and causing a cool effect with the textures. And there's other ways to use that effect, just to create splashes and other things in abstract paintings as well. So here I'm trying to build up on those layers by coming in with a little bit of a darker paint. I think that's still just primary red for right now, but I do come in with a darker crimson red later. Yeah, so at this point I started to realize, I want to do this like red versus blue thing, and I wanted to add more depth of blue to the aqua blue side. So that's when I grabbed the cerulean blue hue to give it a little bit more of that depth by adding a little darkness to it. Same thing with the red side. Algerian crimson is the darker color we're going to be using there. And you kind of see me mixing a little bit of the red with the blue, a little bit of blue with the red. Now I'm using the roller because I was hoping that it would naturally hit the peaks, like the peaks of the textures, and leave paint just on like the tips of the textures. And it did. Maybe not quite the way I wanted it to though. So then I came in with the palette knife, hoping I'd have a little bit better chances of getting it the way I wanted with that. Since I initially wanted to add some sort of white to it, I came back in with the regular titanium white. I figured I would accentuate that divide just a little bit between these two opposing factions. So when using the palette knife to do something like this, you just want to very lightly load up the surface of the palette knife and scrape it along the top of the texture. So now I'm coming in here with the cerulean blue on the bottom to hit those the peaks of those textures with that blue and add a little bit more depth to it, and then the same thing with the top side there. Okay, so the dark red at the top is Algerian crimson. That's actually one of my Blick acrylic paints. There's something about the Blick brand of acrylic paint. There's particular hue to it. I don't know what it is, but I'm definitely going to be getting more. I gotta be honest with you here, I'm having trouble at this point thinking of anything of real value to say here that would help you when working with modeling paste. So if you do have any questions, please put them in the comments below. I'm going to be watching the comments like a hawk. I will answer every comment and question that I get. Shoot me with any questions that you have. So yeah, after getting the white down, I decided that I guess I added a little bit of red paint there that I didn't like, and then I came in with the paintbrush to kind of blend it out. And then I decided that I liked the effect that I was getting with the paintbrush, since it allowed me to get more into the valleys of those textures. So again, another reason to be switching up the tools you're using when you're working with a textured surface like this one. One thing to note about modeling paste is that if you apply it too thick, it actually can crack. So you want to make, if you're going to be working in multiple layers, don't make it any thicker than 1/4 of an inch. And this is per recommendations by Liquitex themselves. Another thing Liquitex recommends is using modeling paste on rigid supports only. So I guess by this they mean like a wooden surface or something like that, but pretty much every artist I've seen using modeling paste does use it on canvas, so, you know, I guess take that one with a grain of salt. There's a lot of other things they talk about here. I'm going to go ahead and put a link to this page in the description below. But they talk about kind of using it like clay. So once it dries, you know, you can maybe sand it down, smooth it out, you know, and then repeat and add more layers. So that's definitely something to think about for my next painting that I use with modeling paste, is how I might actually be able to model it or mold it to what I might want to use it for. There have definitely been times where I've been working on like maybe a landscape painting or something like that, and thought for just a moment like, hey, maybe some texture paste would be good to get a good texture on this particular surface, like the ground or rock or whatever. Haven't quite done that yet, but you know, the more I use texture paste, the more stuff like that comes to mind. So if you are going to do any sanding, carving, or drilling into your layer of modeling paste, just make sure it's completely dry before you do that. You can actually also make what's called an absorbent ground by mixing 1 part modeling paste to 3 parts Liquitex gesso. And in case you're not sure what that is, I mean, ultimately it sounds like, because I had to look it up myself, I've never done an absorbent ground before. It sounds like it is a way of getting a different effect when you go to stain the canvas or use anything that's overly saturated with fluid. Alright, and now we're looking at the finished piece. Thank you so much for watching this far. That was just one way to make an abstract painting with modeling paste. If you got any value out of this video and you want to see any more content just like it, do me a favor and let me know by hitting that like button. And if you're looking for any other videos on abstract painting techniques, go ahead and check out this video right here.